It's for your formative assessment number 2, test 2. That's just your weekly, formative assessment is just your weekly test 2. And so we did do the mental math. So the mental math, problems 1 through 10, some of the problem that I saw is the kids, you wrote your answers from A to F, B to G, rather than writing them across A, B, C, D, E, like this. You filled in your answers going down the page rather than across the page. So make sure you do that correctly next time. So let me just read off the problems. Number 1 was 6 times 9. 2 was 8 times 7. 3 was 7 times 6. 4 was 9 times 5. 5 was 9 times 8. 6 was 4 times 8. 7 was 6 times 6. 8 was 7 times 9. 9 is 6 times 12. And 10 is 12 times 5. Now, if you missed any on this part, you really need to practice your math facts. You should be spending just 5 minutes a day practicing your 6s, 7s, and 8s. Maybe your 6, 7s, 8s, and 9s. Because if you get your multiplication wrong, your whole problem's wrong. So you've got to have your math facts. Okay, problem number 1. Problem number 1 said z squared minus 4yx. Okay, and then it said x was equal to negative 3, y was equal to negative 1/2, z was equal to 6. So I'm going to plug it in. I'm going to plug in what I know. Now z is 6, so I should say 6 squared minus 4 times, and my y is negative 1/2, times my x, which is a negative 3. So I have to do my GEMDAS, and there's nothing to do in the parentheses. They're only there because they're showing you they have negatives. So I'm going to do my exponents. 6 times 6 for 6 squared is 36, minus my 4 times my negative 1/2 times my negative 3. And I'm going to keep going. Now I'm going to do my multiplication. So I leave my 36 alone, but I'm going to change this to adding the opposite just to make sure that I get it correct. And negative 4 times a negative 1/2 is really 4 over 1 times 1/2, which is 4 over 2, or 2. And it's a negative times a negative, which gives me a positive. And I still have it times that negative 3. So I get 36 plus, and now I have to do this multiplication piece. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. And I have 36 positives and 6 negatives. When you put them together, you get 30 positives as your answer. Number 2 said x squared over yz plus x times z. Okay, so again, I'm going to plug in my numbers. My x is negative 3, so I'm going to say negative 3 squared over y, which is negative 1/2, times my z, which is 6, plus my x, which is negative 3, times my z, which is 6. I'm going to slide my paper up. You can see better. Negative 3 squared. Now, if you don't have these parentheses on that negative 3, it really meant, remember, if you leave the parentheses off, it really means negative 1 times 3 squared, or negative 1 times 3 times 3, which gives you a negative 9, and that's wrong. So if I didn't see the parentheses, I probably took 1 point off. Okay? Some of you also dropped negatives, and I took 1 point off. So negative 3 times negative 3 is 9. And a 1/2 times 6 really is 6 over 2, or 3, but you have a negative times a positive, so it's a negative. Plus, you have negative 3 times 6, which is negative 18. 9 divided by negative 3 is really a negative 3. Okay, and some of you lost this negative, and so you have to be careful that you have it, plus that negative 18. And if you have negatives and you add more negatives together, you still get negatives, and you have 21 of them. Okay, number 3 on the test was one of our first concepts, and it said negative 12 plus 8. And this would be, this is negative, this is positive, so you're actually subtracting, and 12 minus 8 is 4. And so I have 4, but this number appears to be bigger. It's the greatest absolute value, so my answer has to keep its sign, which is a negative 4. Number 4 is negative 4 minus a negative 16. And what I was looking for was people to do, I don't subtract, I add the opposite. And now you have positive 16s and negative 4s being added together. So you actually have to subtract. And 16 minus 4 is 12. But my answer has to be positive because this is the bigger number. So my answer is positive 12. Number 5, negative 16 times 6 was the problem. So I was looking for some work over here that said 6 times 6 is 36, carry my 3. 6 times 1 is 6 plus 3 is 9, and I get 96. Now some of you dropped your negative. You have a negative times a positive, your answer has to be negative. Number 6 is negative 81 divided by 27. So you should have done some math, some long division, or you could have said 27 times 2 is 54. Nope, that doesn't work. 27 times 3 is 3 times 7 is 21, carry my 2. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2 is 8, is 81. So your 3 would be your answer. And it's a negative divided by a positive, which may make this a negative 3 answer. Okay? Number 7 said the identity property of addition. So identity, remember, says that anything that you don't want that number to change, and it's the property of addition. So if I have the number 4, what can I add to 4 to make it stay 4? Nothing. I can't add anything to 4 if I want it to stay. So if I'm adding nothing, I'm adding a 0. So this is a sample of the identity property of addition. Number 8, you have this problem. You have 5x plus 3, the quantity of, plus 6 equals 5x plus the quantity of 3 plus 6. So what did they do? Nothing's changed. There's nothing different from this side to this side in terms of the numbers. The only thing that's different is your parentheses. And they're saying first add this guy together. And then over here they're saying, no, add this guy together. But they're saying it's equal. So we've moved our parentheses. So which rule has parentheses? The association property. Associative property of what? Of blank. Well, it looks like we're adding. So this must be the associative property of addition. Okay? Number 9. Number 9 said 2 more than the product of 6 and a number is 52. So I read that and I go, oh, is 52. And I write is 52 because I know is means equals. So I try again. 2 more. 2 more. That means I'm adding 2 to something. 2 plus something. Well, what's it a plus of? 2 more than the product. That means I'm multiplying something. And what am I multiplying? The product of 6 and a number. 6 and a number. I'm going to use x for my number. So this is the answer. But in correct form, we would write it like this because we always put our variable term in the first and we write our constants after equals 52. So this is the correct answer for number 9, but I did accept it in this format. Okay? I probably won't accept it in that format again. Number 10. Number 10 said, James drove 236 miles. All right. So he drives 236 miles on the first day of his 2-day trip. Oh, well, this is day 1, and he's going to drive another day, day 2. I wonder how much he's going to drive. If he has to drive a total of 471 miles, how far does he need to drive on the second day? Well, we don't know the second day. That's what we're trying to figure out. But we do know that he has to drive 471 miles. So this plus this must equal 471. So I'm going to say that. 236, day 1, plus day 2 must equal the total. And this would be my algebra expression. Okay? And the California State Test Prep question at the bottom, evaluate 4y minus yz divided by x minus 4. And it said x was negative 3, y was negative 8, z was a half. Okay, so I'm going to plug it in. I'm going to say 4 times y, and y is negative 8, minus y, which is negative 8, times z, which is a half, divided by x, which is negative 3, minus 4. Okay, now I'm going to start doing my math. So I'm going to do my multiplication. 4 times negative 8 is negative 32 minus, and I have 8 times a half, or negative 8 times a half. So I know my answer is going to be a negative, and 8 times a half is really 8 over 2, which is 4. Okay, and I don't subtract, I add the opposite, so I'm going to change that. And I have negative 3 minus a 4, or negative 3 plus a negative 4, which gives me a negative 7. Negative 32 plus a positive 4 is a negative 28 over a negative 7. And a negative divided by a negative is going to give me a positive answer, and 28 divided by 7 is 4. And so 4 is my answer, which would make the answer D on that California State Tech question. Okay, make sure that you show the steps for your wrong problems and bring them back with your signature. Your signature is due tomorrow.